This is Sam Logue here for Green Blood Boxing. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Tommy Mccarthy today. Mac Attack,
Thanks for
who
having me.
is the current WBC International Cruiserweight champion, and one of the ranking belts with the WBC. So thanks very much for joining me, Tommy. How are you, mate?
Yeah, all good, all good, all good.
Great to hear, man. Great to hear. Obviously, like, we'll jump straight into it. Your big news for you landed over the last couple of days. Mandatory challenger for the EBU title, which is obviously the real European title at cruiserweight, the blue belt. How does it feel to be made European, or to be made mandatory challenger for the European title, which is a very prestigious title?
Well, I've been mandatory since the turn of the year. So the thing was just whether or not I was going to be boxing Lawrence Okoli or somebody else.
Yeah.
So I got into camp on New Year's Eve, like with the European title in mind. So we're working towards that because obviously it's pre-COVID and that we're going to be fighting early in the year, European title, and so when that hit, Okoli was like everybody knew Okoli was fighting for the world title, but he hadn't officially vacated, so I didn't know whether he was going to defend it one more time against me or relinquish it. So the news that came during the week is just the confirmation that he's vacating it. But it's good that it's reminded people that I was in the position to fight for the belt, and it's got people talking about me again. It's got me something to more clear of what's happening with the belt, because before it was kind of you're mandatory, but we don't know when you're fighting, if you're fighting, blah blah blah. So at least I know now that I'm fighting for a vacant title.
Just all a bit up in the air, wasn't it, before? And you're dead right. And you're dead right. Exactly. You were made mandatory a while ago, but they confirmed the vacant title there the other day, which is good news in itself. But would you have preferred to fight Okoli for the title, or are you kind of happy? I mean, there's a lot of good names there coming through that could challenge for the title. I mean, I was looking at the rankings. I mean, the number one ranked in the EBU ratings is I think his name is Wlodarczyk, Polish guy. I mean, he's a former WBC world champion. I mean, I don't know how likely it is that the likes of himself would fight for the title, but you've got guys like Chris Billam-Smith, who fights tomorrow, who looks to be a possibility for that.
Yeah. Well, if you look at them European rankings, like the top maybe 5, maybe even the top 8 are all like former world champions or on the cusp of fighting for a world title.
Yeah.
So it's highly unlikely that those guys will step back the European level when they're right there.
Right on the cusp. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And Eddie Hearn said in an interview yesterday. Yeah. So Eddie Hearn said in an interview, I think it was yesterday, that if Billam-Smith wins at the weekend, he wants to make me and Billam-Smith for the European. So it'll be interesting to see what way he goes at the weekend. And then he's obviously heard that, so he's saying now it's given more added inspiration to win at the weekend.
Big
but then that'll
for
give
him,
the guy who he's fighting, Thorley, he'll be saying, look, if I win this, then he'll take Billam-Smith's spot. So really, it doesn't really matter to me who I'm fighting. Like, I'm focused on winning this next fight, because I believe, based on the history of the European title, you win that, the next fight's a world title. So I'm one win away from, where I want to be, from getting my lifelong ambition.
100%, man. I mean, and you're right there as well. Like, even from my knowledge of what I've seen, like, it's always at the very least a massive stepping stone to that world title level. So even if you weren't to get a title shot directly, you're in with big names. You're right at when you're a European champion, you're deemed to be one of the better fighters, and your world ranking is going to skyrocket as well. So it's definitely like it's a ridiculously valuable belt to have, it would seem. But I want to touch a bit more on on Billam-Smith, because he fights tomorrow, which I'm sure you're gonna keep a keen eye on, obviously against Nathan Tardy from Wales. What do you reckon to Chris Billam-Smith? Do you like him? How do you rate him as a fighter? And is that a fight that appeals to you for the European title?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, anyone, it doesn't matter because my focus is winning the fight. But when Eddie mentioned that he was interested in putting me and Smith on for the European,
I mean, what do you think of Billam-Smith? Like, do you rate him? Because I mean, obviously he's relevant because he's fighting tomorrow. He's looked good. He's under Shane McGuigan, who's a very renowned trainer. Has done a lot of good things, to be fair, with all the guys he's had so far. How do you rate Billam-Smith?
That's it. To be honest with you, I've never really paid much attention to him up until now because he wasn't really on my radar. And when Eddie said that he's interested in putting me and him on, so I had a look at him and he's all right. Like he's nothing special. So I'll be watching the fights at the weekend here, and if he comes through it, then obviously I'll give him more thought. But uh, I haven't studied him fully, like, but once as I said, once Eddie said that he was interested in that fight, I went and had a look at a couple of one video, and then I sent them the Pete. It says Pete, Eddie's talking about putting this on, so Pete says right, no bar, and that's the way I operate anyway. I never really overly study, and I trust. Like with the last fight, that was my first fight under Pete with Turkey or Turkey, sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to bring him up actually because it was a good victory.
I just sent the videos to Pete and let Pete do his bit because I just trust what he says. So that's where it'll be. If it is Billam-Smith, Pete will devise the plan and I'll implement it.
Yeah, exactly. So you very much like to kind of stay away from that side. You do the training.
Not even like I'm like I am somebody who relies on the coach. You know what I mean? And I trust Pete. Like Pete knows more about boxing than me. So what his idea of how to win will be better than mine. That's what I believe anyway. So
yeah, that's very interesting and I wanted to touch on Pete as well because I've spoken to a good few guys from the gym now, and everyone speaks so highly of Pete Taylor. I mean, obviously, you only in more recent times moved down to Pete's gym. Tell me a little bit about that, like the decision to move to Pete, like why you wanted to move and be with Pete, and then also kind of what does Pete bring to the table? You know, why is he so renowned at the moment?
Well, at the moment, the reason why he's so renowned is because he's just had like a string of champions all like back to back to back. So it started with Luke, then Davies, and then me, and then Gary Cully. You know what I mean? And then Davies lost and then won the title back again. So that's the reason why everyone's like sitting up and taking notice, kind of. But Pete, I know Pete from the amateurs from back in the day.
Yeah.
And his amateur record as a coach, it doesn't even need to be explained. But
yeah, of course,
Katie. Yeah. Katie's the greatest female boxer of all time.
Yeah.
She's in the conversation for the greatest Irish boxer of all time.
Yeah, definitely.
Like
definitely.
Male or female. But in the world, female, so nobody's ever come close to her, and nobody ever will for a very long time. So that's like, if you want to know how good Pete is as a coach, you just look at what he done with Katie. And then and after that, Adam Nolan, who Adam took a long time off boxing, came back after a layoff, won the seniors, beat all the top names, was in the hardest weight, and then went and qualified for the Olympics. Which was all top names again in the amateur. So
was that 2012 when Nolan was
2012, yeah. So that's what Pete does. Pete takes people and brings the best out of them and turns them into turned them into champions. And then for me, I always was in the back of my mind wanted to work with him, but when I first turned pro, Pete wasn't working with pros. And then once he did start, I was going like, how could I work out the logistics? He's in Dublin, I'm in Belfast, and
Yeah.
it just seemed like more complicated. And when I seen Luke box in the field, well, when I seen Luke box Conrad the first time, I've told this story a million times, but he was just like phenomenal. I'd never seen him, and I've never seen anybody make as much improvement as what Luke had. Because the fight before, he had a draw in a sixth rounder with Journeyman, and
Yeah.
so I thought Conrad was going to beat him. Went down, boxed out his skin. Then they had a rematch. He done it again.
Yeah.
So when I saw him box in the field against Luis
Arias.
Arias,
Yeah.
um, I said to myself, if Luke has improved as much as what he has, this will show it. Like maybe he just has Conrad's number, because Lewis is somebody who I knew from the amateurs. We and him got a bronze medal at the same World Championships, and he'd fought for a world title and stuff. So I knew that he was like the real deal. So this would show if Luke really was as good as what I thought he was. And he ran out, battered him, and I was like,
Yeah.
do you know what?
Excellent performance. I remember.
Excellent performance again. Then I tweeted Luke and says, Jesus, you're the most improved boxer in Ireland. What's the secret? And he just tweeted back, Pete Taylor.
Yeah.
So then I got the opportunity to fight for his WBC title, and it was the last chance saloon for me. It was a tough fight. Like Fabio Turkey was a top amateur,
Yeah.
was undefeated up to that point. So
He's very highly rated, Fabio.
very hard, yeah. Like he was a silver medalist at the Youth Olympics. He was double S. Like he's a world class amateur and a world class pro. And he's younger than me too. I think he's 26, so he will come back again. Like, but I knew going out there, I had to win. If I didn't win, that was it over for me. So I says all these wee excuses that I had, not excuses, but like complications. Oh, he's in Dublin, I'm here, and blah blah blah. I was like, fuck it, I need to get out of Ireland, or not Ireland, get out of Belfast,
Yeah.
and get down to work with Pete, and not sell myself short for convenience. Like if I want to be the best, I need to work with the best,
Exactly.
and then it paid off.
I mean, it's great to hear, and obviously it I mean, yeah, it's just another example of a guy who just can't say enough good things about Pete Tedder. But I'm quite interested in like the specifics. Like, what do you think Pete has brought to your game specifically? And what I will throw into that one as well is Pete has an awful lot of pros. Like I think he's got like 14 pros. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he has an awful lot of fighters who he trains. So how does that affect your kind of one-to-one time with Pete, and how much like effect or impact he can have on your game? But like, how has he affected you specifically? If you know what I mean?
Like the specifics, it may go over the casual boxing fan's head, because it's like there's subtle wee changes,
Yeah.
real subtle, where your how you stand and like body weight and like
Okay. Balance
what
and things like that.
all that stuff, yeah. Like,
Mm.
but it's the small changes that make the big difference. The small percentages are the difference in winning and losing.
100%.
So like it's just all we small like particular things.
Small
And like
technical elements. Like,
like the first day I went down, like now I'm boxing from 12, and it was like a successful amateur, and I
yeah.
had been doing well, like I'm like a good boxer. And he was like, you need to take your body weight, do your back foot, the way you're standing. You're not, like, he explained like loads of technicalities in boxing. So I had the slight shift on day one. Next thing I was like, I'm boxing. This like I never felt so good.
You saw the
And then
difference
as
directly.
well,
Like, yeah.
he the sessions that he puts together are just second to none. And to develop your power and your speed and just all the stuff that you need for fit. And then he makes you feel good. Like he puts so much confidence in him. So he just brings out anything that you're good at. He brings out the best in all his fighters. And then as far as the stable being big, like it's actually good to have a team to train around you because like you can vibe off each other and like I always try and like if we're doing on the bag, some like you would double up on the bags. I always try and get on a bag with Davy Oliver, Joyce, because he's an absolute workhorse in the gym. So like if I was dipping, like he would come on and no, like I'm trying to keep up with him.
He keeps you at a certain level, kind of.
Yeah, like keep you at a certain standard of hard work, and then the 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 other guys who are in the gym, they're all hard workers. So if you start slacking, you don't want to drop off. You're trying to keep up with the rest of the lads. So it's not bad, and everyone's not in the gym at the same time anyway.
Yeah,
So
okay.
people will have different dates, and they'll be having time off, and then the gym. Like it's not as if there is occasions it is like that, but it's not like you're gonna come to the gym and it's packed, and then obviously who's fighting in big fights will take preference. So
yeah,
at the end of the year, Luke was fighting for the world title, so
yeah.
that's above everything. So Luke was getting all the one-to-one time that he needed. When I was fighting, at Mans was a big title and a massive fight. So I was getting what I needed. I was getting preference, and then after that, whoever the next in line. So it all works out perfect.
So that's the main thing, that it works for the fighters and the fighters are happy. And I have to say, if there's one thing that I have seen or noticed is that the fighters are really happy. Like nobody can say enough good things about Pete, but it's just interesting looking in to kind of try and find out how it works.
Because some people look and they go, "There's too many boxers down there. Like it's not gonna work." But you have to like it sounds all good me saying it, but you have to come down and be part of it to see how it works because Pete isn't just doing it all on his own. He has like Gary Cully, who's another like fantastic trainer and like a phenomenal talent. He has Niall Bart, who's like, and he would help with the lads too, but like Niall's obviously Gary's guy, and then Davey would have his dad is like on hand with him. Then I have my guy who's been with me from the start of my career, Kareem, who would give me help. So there's like people have like an input too, and then we have Big Butch. He's like a number two. We have Mark Kennedy, who's a cup man, but he's always in the gym.
Yeah.
Then we have Screamer,
yeah.
like he's in the gym. You know what I mean? So there's people that are all helping.
The gym full of characters as well, isn't it? I've been down a few times. So, the lads are all so sound as well.
yeah.
But I suppose it's also a really high level. Like you can say there's a lot of pros, but it's a really, really high level gym. Like the amount of, like the two Tyrones, Gary Cully, yourself, Luke Keeler, like and more.
So
Declan Garrity, like it's a really high level gym.
Exactly. So there's the guys like who's at the championship level who are knocking on the door for world titles and major honors, and that would be the two Tyrones, myself, Luke Keeler, Gary Cully, Davey Oliver Joyce.
Davey, yeah.
Declan's like a very a well seasoned pro.
Yeah, very, very good. Hasn't shown his best.
But like he could turn it around, one win could turn that all around. And then you have the up and coming guys who are coming through who are really talented, but they're only just starting out. So these guys are looking at us and saying, right, they're in the big fights. I know what I have to do to get that level. So there's some talent coming through, like with, Tony McGlynn, Shannon Kelly, Owen Duffy, friggin' Robert Burke, like these guys are all Sam Carl too. Like Sam Carl and Davies are sparring all the time, Shannon and Gary sparring all the time. Everyone Duffy and the Tyrones are like everyone's getting the work in. And then even there's guys who are looking to make their debut, like John Coffey, who never even really had any amateur experience, but through him coming in and working with us, like he's improving, and like he's sparring with the lads too. So I don't want to miss anybody out, but
yeah,
I'm
there's
trying
so
to get
many of them. It's
everyone.
easy
But
to miss someone. But yeah, no, it sounds amazing. But and it's good to hear that from me as well, because it just kind of gives people an idea of how it does work, because it is easy
yeah,
to look at that situation and think, oh, that's a bit mad, like a lot of fighters. But we'll move
mm,
on, because like there's a lot to talk to you about, and I don't want to keep you all day, Tom. So thanks very much. But
right,
like, I want to touch quickly on the British scene at cruiserweight, because unfortunately in Ireland there isn't much of an Irish scene at cruiserweight,
yeah,
but in Britain it's very strong at the moment.
yeah,
Now I know you've
very,
already
very.
touched on, you know, you're going to win this European title and you want to move on, but is there any kind of, not temptation, but like there's a lot of good fights there with potentially, good exposure, maybe good money at the British level there, like the likes of Luke Watkins and kind of guys at that level, Riakporhe rematch maybe, the likes of Chris Billam-Smith, which will possibly be for the European title. So is there
Mm.
any kind of temptation or to kind of stay around that level with the European title when you win it, or is it just no, forget that?
No, there's no, like, them fights are gonna be here always.
Yeah,
So my thing is win the European and then move on and fight chance for a world title and win a world title.
yeah,
But if it doesn't go, like, obviously I don't want it to happen, but say things didn't go my way for the European title, all them fights at the British level are still there.
you're there
So
anyways. Yeah,
like it's like I don't want to look back. I want to get beyond them, and it is a good scene. But like if the money was good, obviously you would take it. But I want to be a world champion. Like
yeah.
I've never had interest of being a British champion or anything like that. I don't want to be world champion.
So is the idea that you know you want to push, like you're not thinking you want to push to that world title as quickly as possible. So there's no
Yeah,
thinking, well, a rematch with Riakporhe is a high level fight. It would be a very good win to get, and it's another kind of stepping stone towards the
yeah,
level of world title level. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
But like React Poor, for instance, he's British champion and he's highly ranked with the WBA.
Yeah,
So say he has to defend against Dion Juma next.
yeah,
Say he beats Juma, like I would say he'd be in lane to fight for a WBA title. There's three belts in the WBA,
yeah,
so he'll get a shot at 1 a.m.
yeah.
I'm like more than certain that he'll get a shot at 1 a.m. WBAs, and then definitely I want to fight him again because like I've spoken on this before. I took that fight 2 weeks notice and was underprepared and underestimated him and paid the price. So
Yeah.
I would love to, you know, set the record straight now because I know I'll beat him like
Yeah.
any other time. It was just and it's all good saying it. It's all on the net and he done it on the net. But I
Yeah.
would love to get, uh
The chance to
run it
right
back.
that wrong and
Yeah,
such, like,
yeah.
yeah. But the
But I
fact
would say I
those
want.
those factors are important as well. I mean, it sounds,
Yeah,
people think excuses, but the thing is, a high level sport, if you prepare only for 2 weeks for a fight and you underestimate the guy, you have a disadvantage. Then
exactly.
it's up to you as the fighter not to do those things where
Yeah.
possible, but it still factors in the outcome of the fight. So 100%. But I suppose a Coley would be a target. No, I mean,
Yeah, so
or the
that
winner of him and Grabowski.
that would be the natural one, and it would be easy to make. I win the European, he wins the WBO, bang, first defense against me.
100%.
Like that would be like unreal.
Yeah,
So,
for both.
but when you're talking about the British scene, like I don't even class a Coley as that because he's like beyond it.
He's past it now.
So
Yeah,
yeah, so but him being a British world champion, me being an Irish European champion, like Ireland v England always gets the fans going and the exposure would be mad here if we had it in Belfast or we had it in London. No,
100%.
it would just it's a high profile fight
It's the
for a
kind of
world
fight
title.
that would have to take place on Sky. And it's kind of a direction I wanted to move the conversation in, because you seem to be very thankful and very happy with your situation at the moment, which seems to be down to Mark Dunlop a lot, that you're getting a lot of opportunities with Eddie and with Matchroom. So like, speak to me about that, like the kind of fighting on Matchroom cards, getting opportunities with Eddie Hearn. What, you know, they're kind of at the forefront at the moment in world boxing. It would probably be fair to say. So what's your take on all that, and how's that for you?
It's I love it. Sky Sports Boxing is, you know, that here where we are, where we like, that's what people watch.
Yeah.
It's like the dream, the fight on Sky. And Mark Dunlop is he's the best manager in boxing. Like, nobody can say any otherwise, because if you look at the stable that he's had, he gets people the opportunities, and then it's up to you to capitalize on them. And if it doesn't go your way, they'll get you another chance. Like James Tennyson is a perfect example. I don't know if you've seen a picture of him today. He's standing there with all the belts, about 100 belts, and on James Tennyson's journey, on the way up, he lost to a journeyman, best athletes. Mark was able to regroup, get him an opportunity. Won, fought for British title, lost, regroup, came back, he ended up cleaning up all the way up the world level. Myself, in the space of 9 months, I lost to Reactpor, bad, embarrassing loss. Next thing gets you another opportunity. I won. Now I'm in the position to fight for a European title. Paul Heyland got him the IBF European title. Got an opportunity against Ritson. He lost. Came back in, got him another chance for the EBU title. And then Eric hasn't even had a fight under him yet. He's saying to him, first fight under him, he's fighting for the IBF Intercontinental.
Yeah.
So, like, he's the man. He knows how to manage fighters. He knows how to get you in the positions. And that's what he says. I can get you the fights that you want, but it's up to you to capitalize, and it's up to you to do the fighting. He can't do the fighting for you.
Exactly.
So it's great. He has a great relationship with Eddie Hearn, and it's great for his boxers, because it gets us the exposure, the mainstream exposure, and 100%. Gets us in the title fights that we want.
That's it, like, you know, and it does seem like he's done an amazing job. And I think Tennyson is obviously a great reference, but Eric is kind of a very good reference, because it's his first fight with Mark, and he's like straight in, like this is what Eric wanted. He wanted to be put in against someone, like a hard fight, but with big exposure, and there you go, you're on. And we have to say, you know, the fight camp, if the week one is anything to go by, you know,
and the fight camp is the best exposure that you want, is because there's nothing else on. The boxing fans, and not even boxing fans, sporting fans have been starved of any action on Sky Sports. So everyone's tuning into it.
Yeah.
Well, I presume they are. I don't know if they are or not, but like, it's a great opportunity for Eric. Eric gets this win. It's a tough fight, but you know, it's a good 50-50 fight.
I spoke to Eric yesterday, and he's like, the self-belief is like literally oozing out of him. Like, he just doesn't see any other outcome at all. And I even, like, I got it from him, you know what I mean? I was like, lads, go and put your money on Eric Donovan, because like,
you know,
there's
that's
no
the
other
way you
outcome.
have to be in this game.
Yeah.
So it's a winnable fight. It's a 50-50 fight.
It's 100% a winnable. It's a 50-50 fight. It's a losable fight, but it's a very winnable fight. Zelfa Bartz is very good, but Eric Donovan is very good, and people they just don't know Eric Donovan as well, because he hasn't been on the big stage yet. But he's Eddie Hearn knows how good that fight is. He's talked it up. But actually, something I wanted to touch on, just to move away from the likes of Eric and James for a minute. What do you like? What's your take on Eddie? Because he's debatably like the biggest character in boxing at the moment. You know, even among the fighters. Like, what do you kind of make of his attitude and his kind of his way of doing business? Because it seems to be something that people have taken.
All my experiences with him have been good. Like, he's just sound. He doesn't. There's no bullshit.
Yeah.
You get paid straight away. There's no messing with it. If he says something to you that this is happening, it will happen. Like, I don't have any bad words to say about him, and I like him. He's easy to talk to.
Yeah.
We get on well. Like I know some people call him the villain, but or like the boom and all it shows sometimes, but I think it's more like a pantomime kind of. But
Yeah.
he's great to talk to. He sounds a pound, and I
Yeah.
like fighting on the shows. His shows are the best. Like matchroom shows are like top of the line. Like you get treated well. There's
This is
everything
what
that you
we
need.
hear, like, and this is the thing, and this is why I wanted to get your kind of take on him, because obviously his way of promoting and his kind of making himself a character within the game a lot more so than the other promoters is kind of it's a little bit different and interesting. It might not be so different. I think like Don King did it a lot back in the day and stuff.
Yeah.
But Eddie's kind of like
But
the new young version, if you know what I mean, like
yeah,
modern
and
day
I think
version.
that's what they need. The promoter needs to promote. So there's guys who are coming up who aren't as well known. So it's up to Eddie Hearn to get his face out there. Like Eddie Hearn promotes like one of the biggest stars. It's between obviously Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. They're the two biggest stars in the sport.
Yeah,
Eddie Hearn promotes him. So if he can use his fame to then talk about someone who the likes of Eric Donovan, who's an unknown,
yeah,
like he needs to use his face to promote someone like Eric or like James Tennyson. Like James Tennyson is the most underappreciated fighter in the country.
yeah,
But Eddie signing him and then coming out and saying James Tennyson's the real deal. We're gonna get him a set in the yard and bigging him up.
yeah.
That is making Tennyson's name blow up even more. So
100%.
if nobody knew who Eddie was, nobody would care if he was bigging up James Tennyson. Do you know what I mean? So
Exactly.
what he's doing is right. He needs to big himself up and get famous and get popular in order to get his fighters out there.
Yeah,
Because if he
it all
talks
helps
about
the
them, then
fighters.
everybody's going to listen. Like if Eddie Hearn does an interview, everyone watches it. So
It's true.
if he wasn't famous, nobody would care.
Yeah, 100%. It's a great point. Like it's him being famous, him helping, I suppose, himself in a way, but him being famous helps the fighters,
Yeah.
especially those lower guys, because when he
Yep.
starts going, by the way, Eric Donovan's Alpha Barrett is an absolute barn burner. Make sure you tune into that. People hear that and they listen and they hear Eric Donovan's name. So you're dead
Yeah.
right. And the likes of, like you said about James Tennyson,
Like like
huge.
see before that fight there in the fight camp, James Tennyson was like relatively unknown, which is criminal because he won everything. And then after the fight, what Hearn said, oh, I'd like to put him in with Linares. Now
Linares, I was going
everyone's
to
talking
mention.
about James Tennyson, James this, James that. And then he said, yeah, want to bring him to Belfast. We need the Belfast fight fans. So we want to go to the Odyssey. Like all that stuff that he says, people are listening to because of his popularity.
Yeah,
So it's great.
100%.
Yeah.
Let's touch on a couple of things you just said there. First of all, Tennyson's performance. I saw the picture of you. You met James the other day for a coffee, obviously to congratulate him. Obviously a good friend of yours. But what a destructive performance for the British lightweight title last weekend, fight camp week 1. I mean, I've been watching James for a good while, but I mean, super impressive. He's just a wrecking ball at lightweight,
Yeah.
and he looks a lot stronger as well. He's able to take those shots. Now, Gwynn is not the biggest puncher, but we've seen him against even Craig Evans in his last fight. He really is going through these guys at British level. What did you make of the performance?
Yeah, that's what I expected.
Yeah,
And like I'm in this WhatsApp group with all my friends, and there's about 20 people in it, but they're always slagging me, like if I pick a fight and like get it wrong, "Oh, you haven't got a clue, you haven't got a clue." So I says, look, James Tennyson TKO round 6. The 5th round, I would give that 5th round to Gwyn. Gwyn's our comeback in it. 6th round, Tennyson, bang, bang, bang. But that's what Tennyson does: seek and destroy.
yeah,
And he's just it was brilliant, and I'm so glad that it was on the fight camp. It was the perfect performance,
yeah,
and it's like got everybody talking about him, getting the
100%.
respect that he deserves.
100%. I mean, and a peak audience, apparently, this is what the numbers I've heard, a peak audience of 200,000. That
Great.
could have been, yeah, I mean, maybe, possibly not, but maybe not on his fight directly, but you're talking way over 100,000
Sure.
people watching his fight.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
mean, and apparently the numbers for the last BT show were like 3,000 was peak or average viewership. So obviously the people are watching the Sky shows, and that's going to do James Tennyson the world of good. But what do you make of the Linares talk? I mean, that would be huge.
Amazing. That's what you're in the sport for. Like, that's what James Tennyson deserves. He deserves to be in these big fights with the big names.
Yeah.
And getting
for big money.
Big money. Do you know what I mean? That's because he's that good. He's worked that hard. He doesn't talk. He doesn't slower. He just goes about his business.
Yeah.
A great guy, like one of the nicest fellas he could meet. So he deserves these big fights.
Yeah, it would be a good fight as well, him and Linares. I personally would like to see him. I don't know what you make of this kind of thing, but I would like to see him fight maybe definitely one more before that kind of fight, though. Like maybe Patera for the European title. Because I just think
well, that's what Eddie's talking about.
Yeah.
In an interview, he said he wanted to put that fight on here in the Odyssey for the European. And that could be like a final eliminator or something. So that fight would make sense.
Yourself and James in the Odyssey Arena. What about that?
Odyssey Arena. Unreal.
Unbelievable. Yeah. It would be absolutely outstanding. But I mean, geez, we've hit a lot there, man. Thanks very much for your time. I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to look around here and see if I have anything else to speak to you about. But you know what? I think that was pretty much it. I really appreciate your time, Tommy. That was
problem.
Really good conversation. And look, I can't wait for you to get that chance. I mean, look, we don't know who the opponent's going to be yet, but we'll keep our eyes on Billam-Smith tomorrow, and it could well be him.
It could well be him. Yep.
And I tell you what, it's a good fight. It's a good fight against a good name for a big title. So that's going to be and with any luck, you headlining or even yourself and James kind of
headlining. One I would expecting is James Tennyson to be headlining. Me, chief support, Odyssey Arena. If Billam-Smith wins, European and Commonwealth title, and then whatever James is fighting on, and then Mark will get everybody else out who he's looking after. So it would be great.
It'd be great
if we could get how big would this be? Tennyson headlining, me chief support, Tyrone McKenna v O'Hara Davies. You know what I mean? That would be unreal.
Oh mate, stop! It'd be unbelievable. There's so many good fighters there. And especially because the likes of Tyrone has been on Sky now, and obviously he's going to box O'Hara in the
everyone talking about that too. O'Hara and Tyrone, this has been brewing for years. Tyrone's my best mate too, so it would be great to have him on the show with him.
Yeah, oh mate,
absolutely. Obviously, it's all just wishful thinking.
Yeah, it'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll get your opinion really, really quickly on that one. Tyrone, obviously one of your best mates. Tyrone v O'Hara. How do you see it going? Maybe from a slightly more technical perspective, because obviously you're going to be a bit biased. But how do you see it going? It's a big fight.
Well, this is what we were talking about. If it was to happen behind closed doors, Tyrone would just box the lugs clean off. Easy, and because there's no crowd they get involved. But Josh Taylor put up a video a few weeks ago when he fought him. And Taylor was getting stuck in it the way Tyrone always gets stuck in. And O'Hara kind of swallowed it. So I reckon Tyrone would do the same as Taylor, because Tyrone loves it and getting stuck clean in.
He loves a fight, doesn't he?
And when he's hard of a land and a big chin, as we've seen. He took some big shots. He always keeps coming back, and he's fit as a fiddle. So
100%. And he doesn't disappoint the crowd, does he, Tyrone?
Never.
Sometimes not to his detriment, but not in not to his favor.
It kills me watching him, because this is my brother.
Yeah.
And he's just taking big shots and I know how good he is, and people who box with Tyrone, who sparred with him in the gym or came through him with the amateurs, they know how much of a elite boxer he is.
Yeah.
Back foot, boom, 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 boom. But then he gets in and he's just getting stuck clean in. But against O'Hara, I think those tactics are favourable, because you have to bring him in the deep water.
Yeah, it
Doesn't
does
like it.
seem like that. Yeah. Yeah, O'Hara he seems to like having a bit of time
Yeah.
to kind of create a bit of create
Don't get me
some
wrong, he
traps and
can
stuff.
whack, he hits hard.
Big right hand, huge right
So
hand.
Tyrone would have to be careful with, but he just have to bring him in the deep water and just keep the tempo high
Yeah,
and just
don't give him time to settle. Like,
yeah.
keep him working all the time. It does, and you're right, because Taylor did kind of do that to him. I remember watching it at the time. It was an excellent fight. That's the unified champ, Josh Taylor.
Yeah.
What a fighter. But yeah, look, man, that's great stuff. I hope to hopefully speak to you again. Maybe approaching when we get a little bit more
When we get a
information
bit
about
more
your fight.
confirmation,
Yeah,
no
no, it'd
problem.
be great to touch base with you again, bro.
Yes.
So we'll call it there. Sam Logue for Greenblood Boxing with Big Mac, Tommy McCarthy. Thanks very much, man. Appreciate it so much.
Can I just say this quickly, Sam? Right? I want to share it with sponsors.
100%, man.
Peak Physique and Lauren Property, and Lux. They're my three main sponsors. And you can get these hats if you want them. RYB, Respect Your Body. That's the new label. So if you want them, 20 quid, just send me a DM. We'll get them.
100%, man. And send me the link for the hats, and I'll put it up on Instagram.
There's no link, just DM me.
DM you. There you go. You've heard it, people. DM Tommy for the hats. Cheers, mate. Look, really appreciate it, and I will talk to you again soon, brother.
No bother. Good luck.
Take it easy, mate. Bye.